Journal 3, 4, final one, coming at you. So, you will notice the lack of GLE footage because I can't really figure that out, how to stitch together photo booth and that. So, fully aware and not receiving full credit, I will try to make up for it in my reflections over the GLE. So let's go back to GLE number 1. Um, First thing to note, under time, vastly under time. It was like 10 minutes, 30 seconds to teach a 20-minute lesson. So I definitely underestimated I thought I had enough content to take up that time, but it's really about expanding upon your content, like taking what's off your PowerPoint slide or what's on the YouTube video that you show, and really expanding on that and clarifying it, because you can't go too far into detail. You can to help them better understand what you're talking about. What else? It was definitely. I mean, even though you're only in front of 3 people, it's definitely a little nerve-wracking, like public speaking. So just learning how to feel comfortable in front of an audience is definitely a thing that I try to improve on from GLE 1 to GLE 2. But I did speech in high school and everything, so that wasn't like, it wasn't distracting at least. But I mean, it's definitely, you don't know these people, so you want to try to like relate to them as much as you can, but it's hard. And so you'll have those same problems in a classroom as well. You're gonna have to try to take a bunch of students that you don't really know, or you don't know much, and you have to build relationships with them and learn how to convey your message that best to reach their ears. Um, Another point is, I mean, kind of going off expanding on knowledge, but just really making sure that everything in your presentation is relevant to what you're going to be saying. So some of my slides had just filler material on there, and I mean, filler isn't really helping them learn about what I'm teaching. So I taught a lesson over like geology, and I had like rocks and like an actual like physical rocks in the classroom, and I had them identify the 3 different types, and that was helpful. And that's another point that I wanted to make, and it's kind of like what I learned from this class, but I'm bringing in my previous knowledge is that technology is definitely a good thing to use. Like, it's almost necessary now in the 21st century to teach. But I brought in those rocks, the hands-on stuff, to bridge the gap between technology and it's like in the classroom low tech stuff. And I feel like if you use those, not one or the other, but in unison, low tech and high tech teaching, it really just drives home the message, the lesson that you're trying to do. And so I had my PowerPoint kind of supplement, or I had the PowerPoint supplemented by my rock demonstration, having them sort the different types of rocks. It gave the information that I'm giving on the PowerPoint, and it gave them like a um, hands-on experience and application of their knowledge that they're learning. And then moving on to GLE 2, just ways that I improved mainly were my use of technology and more technology. I added the YouTube videos on diagrams and stuff that I found on various websites that took what I was saying and gave it like a visual representation, because my words can only be so clear, but they can't actually, sometimes they can't actually picture what I'm talking about. And so using like animations and using like diagrams that you can find online or through various applications can really drive home, and like what the low tech rock demonstration did, it really drove home what we were learning and gave them like something to focus on and something to put their knowledge to. And so yeah, adding the YouTube and the diagrams was like a real step forward, I believe, for GLE 2. And another thing was just of course I added more content to take up more time, but I really added more description, more in-depth detail of what we were learning about, because I did cover a lot of information, and but going into detail more definitely helped getting the lesson across. Another small thing, public speaking type thing, is I tried to talk slower. I tried to space out my words. I tried to, I talk fast when I get nervous. Even in these videos, I'm talking pretty fast. So I really just try to slow down because especially when you're teaching something new, you want to make sure you're speaking clearly, speaking thoughtfully, and just slowly, so the words really reach them, and they're not distracted on how fast you're talking or whatever. They're really focused on what you're actually saying. So that was another big improvement that I had for GLE 2. One final thing that I feel like I did pretty well on even the first video GLE, but I honestly saw a lack of it in my partner's presentations, is like the lack of student engagement. And I feel like that's something, that's just like they show the lecture, they lecture to you, they show the PowerPoint, and that's it. And some people, like we were on our phones or something, or we were spacing off. You don't keep us engaged, you don't keep the audience awake even. And I feel like that's what I did. I did a lot of the hands-on rock demonstration. I asked them questions. I asked them clarifying questions constantly to make sure they were paying attention and they would answer them right. And so just keeping them in check through questioning and probing of what they're actually learning is a great way to gauge if you're doing a good job teaching or if they're actually listening. So I really did try to employ that even more in the second GLE, and I saw more improvement. I know were taught the same lesson twice, but they really asked a lot of questions and they really seemed engaged in what I was trying to teach them. But so overall, the GLE was a great way to really see how you can improve just a little bit on how you teach, and it was like a good first time teaching experience. Low pressure, no, it's fourth grade, but it's not like you're actually teaching real kids their future information they need to know. So it was really helpful, and yeah, I think that's it.